Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food system storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
Actually, I think food fusions are pretty cool. It's one of the things I do on my blog as well. I did arancini.
Oh, okay.
The risotto. So I use jollof instead of risotto, and I start with mozzarella. And deep fried, etc. That was pretty amazing. I'm not the first to try it. I think a chef tried it once as well. I think food fusions makes our food different and,
Different for who?
Different for the African, because we are very used to, let's say, our yams and Palava sauce.
Right.
And garden eggs and Palava sauce, Is there anything else you can use garden eggs to make?
Hey everyone, you're listening to Item 13, a bi-weekly podcast covering everything African food, and I'm your host, Yom Tego. Every other week, we'll delve into the world of African food, chefs, curators, and bloggers. I hope you enjoy it. This week, I speak to Oyoo Kumodzi, an award-winning content creator and lifestyle blogger. She's also a recipe developer, photographer, and social media influencer. Her food blog, See My Chow, focuses on creating, developing, and sharing modern, healthy, and traditional Ghanaian and African recipes for the one who's looking for something different from the usual. The blog shares African food lifestyle stories, ranging from traditional cooking techniques, restaurant reviews, cooking tips, ethnic food history, and much more. Now recently started a new food venture, Already Spiced, providing Ghanaians with organic, premium marinated meats made with all natural herbs and spices. We met in a cafe in Accra for this conversation, and so you'll hear some background noise in a few sections. We talk about how she got into food blogging, her thoughts on the trend that is African food, and her new venture, Already Spiced. Regardless of a few distractions in the background, this was a true foodie conversation. You will definitely leave this one hungry. And here's the show. So welcome to the show now.
Thank you. Thank you. Very excited.
Yeah, this should be good. I'm excited to listen to all your food blogging experiences. I follow all of your accounts on so this should be
awesome.
Pretty good. Why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself?
What's there to say?
Growing up in Ghana, where did you go to?
Yeah, I was born here.
And all that stuff.
Schooled here. Everything here.
Okay, and then after school, what did you do?
Which school?
Your first after tertiary school, yeah.
Well, that's when I got my first job.
Okay.
So I was pretty much in the oil and gas industry for 6 years.
Oh, I do remember because you shared a really personal story about going through.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing that now? And how did you transition from that into? I'm guessing that's where you.
Because I started blogging, when I was in the corporate world.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that came out of your.
No. I was already writing then.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was back in 2011.
Oh.
Yes.
I almost would. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that was back in 2011, and it's been a learning journey. Closing from work, going to write, waking up early, writing. I've always loved to write, so it wasn't much of I have to write, big deal, Yeah, so after I kind of launched more full time into it, it wasn't easy,
Yeah.
Nothing is ever easy.
Because you move from corporate where you're getting like a steady paycheck, and all that stuff.
And now you're like freelancing or like you're working with brands, and not everybody understands that what you do, you need to be paid for it, right?
Okay.
So, I did that. Whilst in there, I did a bit of professional training. So.
Okay.
I'm actually like a professional occupational hygienist, but it's not something I talk
wait.
about.
What does that even mean?
So occupational hygiene is basically ensuring the workplace is safe and healthy to work in. So has to do a lot. It's very scientific, about writing policies, implementing them.
Doing that. So you're doing that specifically for oil and gas?
Yes. But it can be applied in any industry.
Especially food, right? Because I don't know in Ghana what rules we have around food and safety.
So I actually did a separate course on food safety whilst in the corporate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was very useful, and it's now really useful for already spice, etc. So food safety was a big deal because. You think about it, how do the people offshore eat? There's that transportation of ingredients, of food materials, etc. They have to be in a good state, how they store them on the rig, etc. Yeah.
And then you think of Ghana where we have a lot of roadside foods. I don't know who is monitoring that. Although I would say I've been to a few roadside stores where I see they'll have a Ghana tourism.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's just them registering their business.
I think it's registration and they pay some tax as well.
Okay, but they're not actually
or something.
being monitored for food safety.
I don't think
that stuff.
Not that I don't think. I know they are not monitored anyway.
But some people say the roadside stuff is actually what makes that food special. So it's all the dirt
and the flies. Yes.
So it makes it special.
People say that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of work when it comes to food safety, across the different industries. Even in restaurants that you feel comfortable even eating in. Sometimes I go to a restaurant and I'm observing how they serve. Because I've been trained, I'm very aware of, what should be in place, but it's not. Aside restaurants, like even your supermarkets, how your meat is cut, do they wear gloves, all those dairy
I actually
foods,
didn't
etc.
realize that supermarkets would treat their own package their own.
Exactly,
okay.
So they mince the meat.
Now that I think about it, they're doing there's a lot of different items, right?
Yes, exactly. Even storing of frozen foods, etc. All that. Is anybody checking, monitoring to make sure that the food is being stored at the right time? You think about these things, and even you get a bit worried and maybe let me just cook my own food, and stuff like that. So that was a very interesting period for me. Really happy I took that course.
And we'll talk a little bit later on about how that impacted sort of your venture into Already Spice.
Sure.
Why don't we talk now into specifically your food blogging experience? So you run a food blog called See My Chow.
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and what was your inspiration to start it?
So, my blog now, oyoocosy.com, it's a lifestyle blog.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of food, fashion, beauty, etc. And as I created more content around food, I realized that I really had that natural, tendency to create recipes without a sweat, and talk about it passionately. So I just decided to create a separate food blog on its own where I could tell our stories around our food, document stories around foods that we may have forgotten about, because I believe that Ghanaian food, from way back, it's not like how it is today, and it was much healthier then. We cook with less artificial preservatives and artificial flavorings. We cook more natural, more fresh.
That is so funny because just this week I made stew at home with my mom, and I tend to, because I'm more conscious about healthy eating and healthy eating, so I use less oil,
Right.
and I try to use a lot more natural ingredients to add flavor to the food. So I'll use a lot of ginger, garlic, that sort of thing, versus using cube, for example. So my mom comes back from work, she eats it, she's like, oh my god, this is so good. Like, what did you put in it? Did you put cube? And I was like, no. And she's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, there's little tricks and tips on how to actually flavor your food without using artificial preservatives, you know. The amount of onion to use, how you even choose the onions, etc. You know, we have all these spices that, you know, add the natural flavoring to it, so you don't need artificial
And I wonder if also
flavorings.
that's part of a lifestyle thing where now everybody's in a hurry.
Yes.
Men and women
Time.
are working now.
Yeah.
You're sitting in traffic for a long time, so you get home and you want to do the fastest. quickest thing possible in terms of cooking.
You know,
so
so
it's easier to throw in the cubes and
exactly
actually take
taking
the time
time
to build the flavors
in. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I also started a blog is to also share healthy recipes using locally sourced ingredients. So you think about ingredients such as cocoyam, think about Gari, we think about what you call it, the yams, the cassavas,
sweet potatoes,
sorghum, sweet potatoes, sorghum, you know, some of the grains that we seem to have forgotten about but are still very important. You know, how
it's interesting how on the international sort of platform those
now,
sorts of grains
they are being boosted as superfoods.
Exactly.
You know, it's crazy, and we are here, and we have it, and we are not consuming it.
And then
you know.
before you know it, they will have to be exporting it there. They'll repackage it and
repackage, and we pay so much for it, buying our own products.
In our
exactly.
backyards, which is kind of sad. And then for someone that's listening, that's not familiar with Ghanaian food or West African foods, let's give them a crash course. Like, how would you describe Ghanaian food or West African food to someone that's not familiar with it? So, like, what are staple foods? What do we tend to eat?
Right. Okay.
Compared to Chinese or Indian.
I mean, West African food is heavily carb, so expect a lot of carbohydrates. If you're on a ketogenic diet, you know, you just have to be very worried about, you know. So we have a lot of carbs like plantains, yams, cassavas, Gari, a lot of corn-based meal as well. So there's Banku, there's tuwo zafi, there's yake. So there's a lot of carbs, you know. And most of these carbs come with sauces, which are also heavily tomato-based, right? And most of them are also mixed with leaves. So you have like kontomire, you know, or spinach leaves, boko Ademe, you know. So even though it's heavily tomato based with the traditional tomato sauce that we all know, we call tomato stew, it gets mixed in with these leaves and seeds. So we have pumpkin seeds, which is agushi, right? And we tend to eat a lot of meat. You know, we love our meat as well. So you can expect to, experiment or try different types of meat. There's game. So we have akrantie.
Dear God, tell people what akrantie is.
So grass cutter. You know, it's like a huge rat.
It's a rodent, guys.
Huge rat. You know. Yeah, but it seems to be a loved, you know.
Yeah, like I've had people ask me to ask for recommendations of where they can get. So people that are not from Ghana that come and visit, they're like, oh, they've heard about akrantie, they want to try it. Yeah. I'm like, even I have never tried it before.
I've tried it before. It's very gamey. I think it's an acquired taste.
Okay, I think that's what you call it. So for someone that's new to Ghana, what would you recommend as their first time Ghanaian meal to try? And please don't say jollof.
No, I wasn't going to say jollof.
Like something that you think truly represents, because I know you'll say there's different parts of Ghana, right?
Yes.
Each sort of
region has
group and each region has their own. But what do you think is a meal that sort of represents Ghana?
I think fufu cuts across.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
Fufu would cut across every region because I've been to like most of the regions and it's like every local restaurant has fufu.
Right. So it actually speaks to like a lot of our food. There's a staple carb, which is like a dumpling. So like you mentioned Banku area. So fufu is something that will cut across and then you have it with
with the soups, any of the soups. So there's the palm nuts, there's the light soup, there's the granuts, there's the rare,
oh God, I'm getting hungry.
There's the Ebunu Ebunu, so fufu is pretty, it's something to try. Of course, make sure that the fufu is in a smaller portion.
And then moving from Ghana to sort of the rest of Africa, I'm sure you know and you've heard, like African food, quote unquote, seems to be a big trend these days. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, whole African food is trending, it's the next big thing. And then do you feel a sense of pressure or responsibility as a food blogger to try to stay authentic to Ghanaian/West African cuisine versus people are doing fusion a lot to sort of help raise their profiles also as part of the trend?
Well, I think the rise of African food has been long in coming, and it's our time for the world to also discover what we eat, what we traditionally have been serving our families and grown up with, and it's influenced us until now. I hope it's not a fad, but something that's continually be there, a conversation, not just a conversation, of course, but also will lead to the rise of African food businesses, etc. Actually, I think food fusions are pretty cool. It's one of the things I do on my blog as well. I did arancini. Do risotto. So I use jollof instead of risotto. And I stuck with mozzarella, and deep fried, etc. That was pretty amazing. I'm not the first to try it. I think a chef tried it once as well. I think food fusions makes our food different and,
Different for who?
Different for the African, because we are very used to, let's say, our yams and Palava sauce, and garden eggs and Palava sauce, Is there anything else you can use garden eggs to make?
Well, but there's a lot of you find, especially on social media, that people just go crazy when they see food bloggers trying different things with what they consider authentic food. Like, what's your reaction to? Have people reacted to any of your recipes in that way? And sort of, what is your response or reaction to that?
Well, whenever I do something different, like maybe use sweet potato differently to make maybe shepherd's pie or something.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
People like, I never thought of that. That's interesting. So the feedback is always positive. It's always like, this is a must try, and I really hope they're actually trying it. I know some do, and they just never post it, So it's good for us to try different things, but we shouldn't just do it for the likes. But we should make sure or try and ensure that it's actually people trying different things.
Okay. All right, we'll take a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll dive more into the topic of the business of food blogging, and then all the other ventures that you do. You talk about lifestyle, we already mentioned spice. So we'll delve a little bit into that. We'll be right back, guys. So welcome back from the break, guys. We're going to delve now into food blogging as like a business or as an occupation, if you will. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to run the food blog. What do you enjoy most about it? And then what do you like the least about it too? Because it seems like a really glamorous lifestyle, if you will. Like, you get up, you cook, you take videos, pictures, and all of that good stuff, and you're at home, like you're doing it on your own time. But what are the things that, maybe let's do a specific number, what are the top 3 things you like the most about blogging, food blogging in particular, and then like what you don't like about it? Or what you maybe not don't like, but don't enjoy about it, but it's part of the process that you have to do.
Well, what I enjoy most is the versatility and the creativity. Like, I always have to think of something different, and that challenges me to like really, think of different ways to make something. That's exciting, because I don't like one way personally. I'm not a, one way kind of person.
Yeah.
I really enjoy new things, new experiences. I don't mind trying new things, going to a restaurant that has probably served a horse or something.
Actually, I will stop you there because you just said that. Have you tried anything really weird that you can think of that you can tell us about since you just mentioned? What's the weirdest
thing
you tried?
I don't know.
We can come back to that. Why?
Yeah, we can come back to it, but I've had different things. Maybe
or maybe you didn't think.
I didn't think of Fonio as weird, so maybe to someone it's like, oh, well, that's normal,
Okay.
I think I've had eel before. Yeah, I think that was it was
Slimy,
yummy.
She said it was yummy. I said it was slimy.
I think I had eel at a Japanese restaurant or something once. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. So you like the creativity aspect?
Yes. So the creativity aspect, like writing out list of ingredients, combining the different things, and then going to the market, shopping for it. That's also fun.
Okay.
Then coming home, setting up my equipment because I had to invest in lighting, camera, the whole photography, video equipment, etc. And also ensuring that everything is ready because once you cook, the setup must be ready.
Okay.
Because you want to take the photos and bring out the freshness as much as possible. I mean, there's all tips and tricks to getting food to look fresh, like spraying it with a bit of water, adding a bit of oil.
So the pictures of the food you take, though, then are they not edible because you're trying to do all these things?
Oh no, they're edible because right after Easter, it's very edible, So let's say you're making a salad, avocado salad or something. Lettuce can easily wilt, or parsley, or whatever leaves you're using, So you want to have like a small spray bottle of water on hand, just keeping it fresh, and droplets of water always makes food look fresh and yummy.
Close caption it also.
Exactly. You can see.
Wow, guys, I'm learning tips.
So that's the fun aspect, And I'm always learning, it's always a learning process, following other food bloggers or food photographers. Watching YouTube videos to learn how to, take better quality photos and videos. So.
And then what don't you enjoy about the process? If there's anything.
Is there anything I don't enjoy? No. Oh. Even the editing is fun because
I was going to say, I feel like editing would be tedious.
Yeah, it's tedious, but I use iMovie to edit, for example, the recipe videos. And sometimes I discover something I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, and I'm like so excited.
You're better than me. I'm like, I'm just getting into this podcasting thing, and I come back and I'm like, oh, I have to edit.
Yeah.
I enjoy like the conversations I have.
Yeah, exactly.
But coming back and editing is just.
And editing can take like 3 hours. You're just sitting there.
I'm like, oh god.
And then importing and
And then you have to pay for me, and I don't know if it's the most efficient way because I play the entire like 30-minute conversation and removing sounds.
Just
like somebody
cutting
shoot
out,
me down.
adding text, etc. For me, I think my only discomfort I would say is probably the heat because I have to work in a hot kitchen. So I'm now thinking of putting a fan in my kitchen, or maybe an AC or something just to cool things down. Aside from that,
And then you do a really good job. Like when I think about the food bloggers that I follow, especially in Ghana, you do a really good job of consistency and content. Like there's always something new.
There always has to be something.
It's not like you post and then we don't hear from you a month later and you're there. Like how do you talked about creativity and inspiration. Like where do you find inspiration from? Like are you just a naturally creative person, or like do you look and seeing the world around you, like, oh, if I do, like, how do you come up with that? And then also the content, like, it's so amazing to me, like, how consistent you are with not just content for content's sake, but like really good content also.
Okay. I think naturally I'm creative. Like, for as long as I can remember, I've loved to do arts and crafts, and I loved graphics when when I was in Richard School, you know.
And I think it's unfortunate, not to interrupt you, it's unfortunate that we don't appreciate that in our Ghanaian education system, right?
Yes.
Everybody
it's like
has to be a doctor
or a lawyer, you know. So that has stayed with me over the years. So I'm the sort of person who I don't mind, let's say, going to a pottery and buying like, you know, traditional pots, and just to give my photos a different look and a different feel. You know, it's really exciting. You know,
thinking about like what can I do? That's
I recently went to the China Mall, like, you know, 2 days ago, and I was actually looking for wonton wrappers, right? Because I wanted to make wonton soup, right?
Actually, wonton soup, or are you going to do a twist?
There'll be a twist to it, you know. So I'm thinking like, there should be wonton wrappers, because the process is not easy to actually make the wrappers yourself. But they didn't have it. But I found these really cute bowls. They were so cute, so beautiful. I think that's the last photo on my Instagram. So, you know, they'll make your picture stand out. So you always have to think of, you know, how you're making your content more interesting. So it's not just about the content, like you say. It's also, for me, it's also educating my followers, engaging them, asking them questions to understand them a bit better. You know, when you understand your audience, you're better able to serve them the right content, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And then maybe like this is a big elephant in the room, but how do food bloggers monetize? Like, how do you make a living out of food blogging? Right? I'm sure brands are a part of it, but then how do you attract brands to you, and then how do you choose or select which brands kind of work with your values, your ethos, in order to make sure that, you know, you're also not compromising
exactly, you know. So for example, I've worked with brands more on my lifestyle blog than on Simacho. So Simacho is what I was focusing more on was building the audience, you know, and getting the readership instead of chasing brands immediately, because before you go to a brand, you should be able to, you know, pitch your content to them, so that when they go through your content, they know how rich it is. You don't want to write like maybe 2 blog posts and then immediately you want to start working with brands. You know, I don't work like that personally. You know, I want to give value to any brand that I work with. So I've been consistently building this content, and a lot of it has to do with healthy foods and locally sourced ingredients. So I choose a brand that I believe also believes in organic and, you know, healthy ingredients. So let's say I even though that wasn't branded content, I got Fonio from Ababu, right? And he even literally gave it to me for free, you know. And I made recipes out of it, you know, because we have the same ethic, you know, same values, etc. I wouldn't work with a company that, you know, probably has processed foods.
And it's sad, because I wish we really could truly appreciate like the fresh foods that we have, because when you go outside, like, and that's the new trend, right? Like organic, fresh food.
Yes.
And we have it here.
Just naturally.
Really don't appreciate it.
No, we don't.
It's quite sad.
So it's just to, you know, pick up that interest in people that, our foods are actually pretty amazing, and there's different ways to make them.
Yeah,
you know.
it's interesting. Okay, before we sort of switch into the other things that you do, I wanted to quickly talk about 2 things. What blogging tools that you do use? You talked about using Simacho right now. Your aim is to grow your followers. Like, how are you doing that? Are you using any specific tools, or are you just solely relying on engaging content? How are you tracking your follower base to see what's resonating with them and what's not?
So, you know, blogging and social media tools are like, you know, partners in crime, right? It's like the Bonnie and the Clyde. So, I use Google Analytics a lot. You know, I use Buffer. So anything I put out there, you know, I'm always using my analytics really well to know what resonates with them. So it all takes a bit of learning, because I mean, a lot of us, before we started blogging, we didn't even know what analytics was. I mean, it's always been there, you know. And I use Bitly as well, or bit.ly, Bitly, So
that's right, because Bitly does track.
That's true. Yes. So it gives you clicks. It gives you the analytics over a period of time. And I also do email newsletters.
Okay.
So newsletter marketing, it's also a big thing.
Okay.
It's also a tool I use to send out, personalized content or any blog post anyone may have missed out on. So through, let's say MailChimp, for example, that, okay, you got this number of clicks, this number of subscribers, etc. And building your subscriber base is very important as well.
And then we talked about you photographing your food, all your equipment and all that stuff. How did you learn the art of food photography? Like we just did Africa Food Week in London, and we ran a food photography workshop, and it was hugely popular, especially with food bloggers, some who were just starting out and some who had been doing it forever. It seems like that's something that consistently people want to improve, because that's the only thing you have really to sell your content, right? So how did you learn, number one, and then how do you keep up with, different ways of doing it so that...
I think I'm still learning, but I actually ventured into photography early, during my early blogging years, so the basics of photography techniques was already with me.
So you're self-taught, then you didn't...
No, I had a mentor.
Okay.
I had a mentor who is like, he's a full-time photographer. So in terms of the basics, I was covered on that. So then it comes to plating your food and presentation. So plating for food photography, you have to learn it, from the plates, the equipment, the accessories, napkins, linen or jute. What can you put together to make the picture more interesting? Composition, exactly. So how you compose the photo, the types of bowls and plates you're using are really key. How you're even combining the ingredients, because for example, if you've made, let's say, sweet potato soup, which is
Like by the time we're over, I'm going to be so hungry.
I'm prepping you for lunch, so so sweet potato soup, it's going to come out yellowish, right? So what are you going to add to it to make it pop? A bit of green, whether it's chopped up parsley, a bit of red.
So interesting. And now I'm thinking that you do have to be a creative, because for me it won't even cross my mind. You do have to be a creative.
You have to, because it's the colors you're combining. So if it's a salad, you're adding reds, greens, and yellows. If you just make a green salad, it's just flat. So you can add maybe feta cheese, a bit of white, a bit of red. That makes it fun. You can add the human aspect of somebody actually about to spoon.
Those
that
are
really
actually
works.
Really interesting photos. When you always see someone's hand. And then sometimes I think there's a food blogger who always she wears a particular ring.
Right. So you always know it's there. Exactly. So it's
identity,
right? So. When you look at, let's say, this account, Starbucks, they always have someone's hand holding a cup of coffee, so that's their brand work.
I didn't even think about that as an intentional way.
It's so intentional.
That's interesting. Exactly. So after doing all that work, composition, buying your ingredients, cooking, everything, and you post it online, and then someone takes your picture and uses it for something else, because we don't have this copyright and all that stuff. Like, how do you deal with that in our space? Because here we don't have really strong copyright, trademark.
It's happened to me a few times, even though I watermark my work, and sometimes you're afraid your watermark would actually destroy the quality of the image, right? Even though you reduce the opacity, you reduce the size of the watermark, so it's there, but it's not there. You understand? You still have people.
Right.
Was it 2 years ago that a company, I'm not going to mention it, but a very big, very, very big influential food company. I think it's their agency, their marketing agency, that used my photo, and they.
I hope you got some good money for that.
They added text to it, which even made it worse.
No.
That was like a rape of my image. Like it was not a good thing. Yeah, of course. I have a lawyer and
Oh, good for you. I think here too we're also very quick to say, exactly.
We always brush things off. That's why people take advantage of us. But you always have to take a stance, So I called my lawyer and sent them a message. My lawyer spoke to them. They did pay.
Yeah, you settled. Good.
Oh, they were settled, because they didn't want to go to court.
Right.
And and I was ready to go.
Yeah.
If we had gone, my lawyer was even looking forward to, because it would have been the first case under copyright.
That would have been a landmark case.
Yeah, landmark case.
That would have been really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we transition then to the other things that you do? Because you do so much. You blog for lifestyle. I know you do speaking engagements. You run an e-commerce store.
Okay,
and then now you're doing Already Spiced. So let's talk specifically about Already Spiced, since it's in the food realm. What we're discussing today. What is Already Spiced?
So one evening, so I'll start with how it started. Like one evening, my husband and I, before we got married, actually, we were having dinner at my mom's, and we were just talking, about how it was around 7, and we were having dinner. We're we now had to actually make dinner and everything. Wouldn't it be interesting if, we had a product that could reduce time spent on cooking, and you just pick up the products, bake it, roast it, whatever, and you're immediately, enjoying it, And we're that could actually work, I'm like, so we could just spice the meats, and it's just ready to cook, And as we were talking, the name even just came up, Already Spiced, and we're like,
that's
snap.
a clever name, actually.
You don't
have to think about it.
You have to think about
tells you what it is.
It's Already Spiced meats, So that's how it started, and it wasn't just about spicy meats, but spicy meat organically.
So that's what I was going to ask you, because when I've seen the packaging and it really says it's all natural ingredients, which I like. Because one of the things I used to, when I lived outside, I used to buy a lot of already, because like you said, it's easy. You come back from work, you throw it in the oven or whatever. But then those had a lot of sodium, a lot of chemicals in order to cook it. So then I stopped after a while when I realized, but
it's all fresh, so if, for example, paposhito chicken wings that we have, right? So it's purely paposhito with a bit of ginger and a bit of onion. That's it. It's very low in salt, so we've left it to your, choosing how you want to salt it, but it's very low in salt. And I have been sourcing most of my meats from a local abattoir. So that the meat is also locally sourced as well.
And then you do it all in your kitchen?
Yes, for now.
Oh, okay. So then you get the meat from the abattoir, you do the seasoning. The
seasoning, everything, and it's vacuum sealed.
Okay.
So I have a vacuum machine. So that also, maintains or increases the shelf life, because you want to reduce the amount of oxygen in there. And that not only preserves the shelf life, but it also enables the seasoning to penetrate, for a longer time,
I'm so
and I think, we spend so much time in the kitchen peeling garlic, ginger, grinding the pepper, by the time we are done, it's so much time has gone. And we don't even take enough time to season the meats. It's the minute the spice goes on, we are cooking it. No. You need to enjoy the flavor, for it to penetrate into the meat well. So to save time on cooking, because we spend so much time in traffic, after work,
all of that.
Tired. But once you have Already Spiced chicken wings, you just bake it.
Oh, that pakoshito and wings sounds.
And
so
you can
good.
have wings alone on its, on its own,
as
a meal on its own. So yes.
Interesting. And then the packaging. So you vacuum seal yourself.
Yes.
And then what about the outer packaging? Or
That's the outer packaging, yes.
You literally do that. I will include a picture. So check the show notes. We'll include a picture of the packaging of Already Spiced, because that looks amazing. It looks like it's manufactured in some factory.
I know.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, I bought the Food Saver vacuum bags. So it's very sturdy. It's microwavable friendly, so exactly. So you just pop it in.
Wait, so this is available in Accra now. Where can people find it in Accra?
Currently they can order online.
Okay.
I'm going to be
the
stocking alreadyspiced.storefoundry.com. people also order via Instagram and Twitter, etc., Facebook. It's so interesting how social media now is like a marketing tool. But I'll be stocking very soon at Shop and Save.
Okay.
Yes, so I recently just acquired some boxes, to start packing a whole lot of products into it for them. So yes, that's how it started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you balance all of this stuff, your store, foundry, see my Chow, already spiked, speaking engagement, to do workshops and social media and all of that stuff. How do you find, and I know also from social media, social media is almost, anyway.
Yeah.
I know from social media that you're a woman of faith. How does that tie into the way you think about business, your life purpose, and all of that stuff?
I believe that, we are meant to prosper. And we've been given so many talents, so many skills and abilities.
You're using all of them.
I have to use them as much as possible, But what I love about what I do is everything is tied in. So my social media skills and expertise helps me to market my products. I have an understanding. So when I have someone to actually manage the social media, I know how to even train them to make sure they're doing the right thing. Because now we even live in a time where people profess to be social media marketers, but they are not really doing the right thing. Speaking and engagement comes every now and then, not as well. This year I've done like one training and one speaking event, yes, but it's always around what I do, so I'm never confused on how to, exactly, yeah. So Store Foundry we are actually changing the business model, so we'll be announcing that very soon. So yeah, but it's not very. It doesn't take so much of my time, So yeah.
So food blogging is probably the most.
Yeah, food blogging, and I love it because Already Spiced has recipes, So the marketing strategy is to create recipes.
Okay.
And post them.
Maybe let's do that. I'm putting her on the spot now, guys. Maybe do one recipe and we'll also include that one Already Spiced recipe.
Exactly. Exactly.
We'll include that in the show notes so that people can go and find Already Spiced and then try the recipe that we'll share in the show notes so that you can. I want to try this capuchito. I'm so excited for it.
It's everyone's favorite, and the pork.
Oh.
Yeah, that's in the pork actually.
Okay, I need to try that. So, what's next for See My Chow? Next for Already Spiced? I think we talked about it a little bit. Like you're going into stores for Already Spiced, recipe development, and all that stuff. What about See My Chow?
So See My Chow wants to start more food conversations.
Okay.
So to go offline, to go offline. And have face-to-face interactions with people.
So you start doing more events.
More events, yes. So and it can be sponsored by Already Spiced, so
I like all the
of
what you do.
So and also help food businesses to come together, because I always say that there needs to be more collaboration between food businesses. Everyone is too scattered and siloed. So.
And then it's not really competition, because I think everybody has their niche and the thing that they do
everyone,
well.
And the market is huge.
So it's all
there's so much to do.
Yeah. Then before we transition to the rapid fire question segments, where can people find you online?
Already Spiced.
Yeah.
So Already Spiced everywhere on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So just type Already Spiced. Yeah.
Okay.
You see everything there is to see.
And See My Chow.
See My Chow too on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay.
See My Chow.
See My Chow, and Chow is CHOW.
Yeah, some people say Chow, right? Like
so I just wanted to make sure.
So it's a Ghanaian Chow, right?
It's Ghanaian Chow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to delve into the last section of the interview, which is rapid fire questions. I'll ask Na really quick questions, and she's going to answer off the top of her head. She can elaborate if she wants to or not. So here we go. Number one, which you should expect, because this is where Ghana. And I asked you earlier when this was going to Jollof. So, Ghana jollof or Niger jollof?
Or Ghana jollof.
What? And this I will ask you why. What makes it better? What makes Ghana jollof better? Not just because you're Ghanaian.
Not just because I'm Ghanaian, but it's a type of rice and the flavorings that we use. Nigerians don't have tolobifi.
They don't add that extra something.
No, we don't even need to add cube. Nigerians cook with cube more than we do. So.
Okay, buffet or a la carte?
A la carte.
Swallow or rice? Swallow or rice, like fufu.
Oh, right. Swallow.
Red wine or white wine?
Red.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dine in or take out?
Dine in.
Morning person or night person?
Morning.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Biggest pet peeve?
Do I have any? I don't have any.
Your husband should hear this. He'll come and counter on Twitter. And your favorite African or local restaurants and why?
African restaurants?
Yeah, or local, African restaurants.
Asmara.
Oh.
Yes.
Why?
The ambience, the variety, the service quality makes it worthwhile.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. It's such a pleasure talking to you. I'm leaving this interview very hungry. But it was really good talking to you and learning more about what you do. And I'm really excited for already. So now I need to go find it. I can just ask you.
I'll send some to you. Have the delivery guy. So I have a delivery guy who makes most of the deliveries. So.
Okay, all right.
So you can expect a complimentary one and make something out of it.
Post it with all the tips I need.
Yep.
All right, thanks guys. This was a really good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Item 13, an Essence 13 production. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. To keep up to date on news and events from Essence 13, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Essence and the number 13. Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
It's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize wow, this piece of legislation, all this money, it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.